Christmas Eve was supposed to be about family, hot cocoa, ugly sweaters, and opening presents around the tree, not standing alone in an airport with a one-way ticket to a country I'd never seen in my life. But that's exactly where I was when my mom shoved an envelope into my hands, looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You were never ours. Your real family is waiting for you overseas." I actually laughed because I thought it had to be some sick joke. Seriously, who says something like that to their 16-year-old daughter on Christmas Eve? But nobody laughed back. My dad wouldn't even look at me. He just kept staring at the floor like it held all the answers. My younger brother stayed in the SUV, pretending to scroll through his phone. And my mom checked her watch like she was late for a dinner reservation, instead of abandoning the kid she'd raised for 16 years. "Your flight board's in 3 hours," she said before turning around and walking away. I froze, my jaw dropped, and for a second I honestly couldn't breathe. People hurried past, carrying wrapped gifts and laughing with their families, while I stood there holding one suitcase and an envelope that felt heavier than my entire life. Inside was a passport I'd never seen before, a plane ticket to Ireland, and a handwritten note with one name on it. Margaret O'Sullivan, along with an address in County Clare. No explanation, no apology, nothing else. I chased after my parents, yelling, "Mom, what is this? What did I do?" But they kept walking until the automatic doors closed behind them, and that was the last time I saw them for almost 12 years. Believe me, I wanted to run after them. I wanted answers. I wanted somebody to tell me this was all a mistake. But something inside me snapped that night. Here's the thing. When the people you trust most throw you away, you either spend your life begging to be loved, or you become someone they'll regret losing. And right there in Terminal C, surrounded by Christmas music and strangers who never noticed the girl being abandoned, I silently chose the second option. I boarded that flight alone, terrified, angry, and completely convinced my life was over, except I had no idea it was actually just beginning. Because waiting for me across the Atlantic wasn't just a grandmother I'd never met. She was carrying secrets my parents had spent 16 years praying I'd never discover. Secrets that would eventually drag all of us into a courtroom where the truth would destroy everything they had built and expose why they really bought me that one-way ticket on Christmas Eve. The flight felt like it lasted forever, and every hour gave me another chance to wonder what kind of people could dump their daughter on Christmas Eve and fly back home like nothing happened. I barely slept, barely ate, and kept reading the same note with the name Margaret O'Sullivan, until the letters almost blurred together. When I finally landed in Shannon Airport the next morning, I expected some warm reunion like the movies, maybe an old woman running toward me with tears in her eyes, but nope. Standing near baggage claim was a tall woman in her late 60s, wearing a long gray coat and holding a cardboard sign with my name on it. She didn't smile, didn't hug me. She simply looked me up and down and said, "So you're finally here," then picked up my suitcase and started walking. No way was I getting answers that easily. I hurried after her asking who she was and why my parents had sent me away, but she stayed quiet until we climbed into her old pickup truck. After 10 minutes, she finally spoke. "I'm your grandmother, Margaret, and your parents lied to you about almost everything." My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it. "Then tell me the truth," I begged, but she shook her head. "Not yet. You're angry, confused, and you deserve answers. But you also deserve proof, and I won't tell you a story I can't back up." That confused me even more. If she knew the truth, then why hide it? The drive took almost an hour through rolling green hills, until we reached an old farmhouse that looked nothing like the fancy estates you see online. The roof needed repairs. The barn leaned to one side, and sheep wandered across the driveway like they owned the place. Inside, she handed me a bowl of hot stew and pointed toward a small bedroom upstairs. "You can stay as long as you need, but around here everybody works." I wasn't exactly thrilled about farm life, but I also had nowhere else to go. Over the next few weeks, I learned how to feed animals, repair fences, and survive the freezing Irish mornings. Margaret wasn't affectionate. She never said she loved me. But every morning, breakfast was waiting before I woke up, and every night she made sure the fireplace stayed lit outside my room. Little by little, I realized something that completely messed with my head. This woman, the stranger my parents never even mentioned, treated me with more respect in 1 month than they had in 16 years. Still, one question never left my mind. Why had they waited until Christmas Eve to get rid of me? Because the more I watched Margaret quietly avoid that question, the more I realized the answer had to be far darker than simple adoption. And one rainy afternoon while cleaning the attic, I accidentally found an old locked metal box with my name written across the lid in faded black marker. The second Margaret saw it in my hands, The color drained from her face, and she whispered, "Put that back, sweetheart. You're not ready to know what's inside yet." And that's when I knew whatever was hidden in that box had the power to change everything I believed about my family.